Hello students, welcome back to lecture number 2. Um, Today we are going to take the subject further. It is Indian and Global Economic Development, that is International Economics for third year BCom. My name is Professor Yogesh Nagpal. So we'll discuss chapter 2 today, that is Agricultural Development in India since independence. So we'll see what is the role of agriculture in Indian economy, constraints in agricultural development in India, problems in agricultural marketing in India, functions and shortcomings of agricultural price commission, what is minimum support price, what are the determinants of MSP, causes of increasing indebtedness in rural areas, measures to prevent increasing rural indebtedness. So what is the role of agriculture in economy? Now, if you look at agriculture, it has a huge employment potential. You must be aware that India is a country where agriculture is the biggest contributor in the national GDP. So it gives us opportunity to be employed. So if you know agriculture, you can take care of your own self. So one of the major roles of agriculture in economy is that it can provide us employment. Our share in national income. Now, I was just raising this point that agriculture has a major share in the national income, which means that whatever is the total GDP of our country, agriculture has a major share, and that's how agriculture is very important, and the role of agriculture also is important. Uh, Agriculture is actually the base of industrialization. You can't take away agriculture from industrialization. So if there is industries, if you look at, let's say, textile, if you want to produce clothing, then you need cotton, right? So where you'll get cotton from? You'll get cotton from agriculture. So the basis of industrialization is agriculture. Whatever the raw material is required, you'll have to be dependent on agriculture. Now, it also provides incentive for industrial growth. So agriculture will be the one which promotes industry growth, which makes advances in industry. It is the source from where the raw material is coming. If you're talking about the furniture manufacturing unit, where does the wood come from? It comes from the agriculture. Where does the cotton, as I said, comes from? It comes from agriculture. Agriculture as a role, it has to also look at exports. There's a lot of stuff that gets exported when it comes to vegetables or fruits, exotic fruits. In India, we produce mango in certain parts of Maharashtra, coastal parts of Maharashtra, and then that produce of mango is then exported to foreign countries. So agriculture is a major participant in foreign exports, outside India exports, and that's how agriculture is very important. Now, transport facilities. The agricultural produce is dependent upon transport facilities. We have to make transport available to the farmer who is working hard, who is producing goods. Okay, we have to allow that produce to be reached from the farming location to the retail market. um, so because of agriculture, we have a strong foreign exchange position. We are able to make a lot of revenue from agriculture, and in order to maintain stability also in the economy, we require agriculture. So agriculture overall is a very important industry for the growth and development of our country. Now, what are the constraints in agricultural development? What is stopping us from growing? What is that one or two thing which is not allowing us to move ahead in agriculture? So there is excessive population dependence on agriculture. There's a lot of pressure on agriculture. So if you look at our population, it is growing day by day, it is increasing day by day, but we do not have enough resources to feed so many people. There is close to 150 crore population in India today, as of now in 2021. Feeding 1 crore, 150 crore people is not a joke. So how to manage that? So there's a lot of burden on agriculture which has to be borne. So this is one of the restrictions in agricultural development. There's little capital investment. Money is not being put as much as it is put in industry or in banking or any other different sector rather than agriculture. So capital investment is very little. Then uneconomic holdings. Many people hold land which they are not using it. I mean, they are not using it for producing. So though it is a land, it is a holding, it is an uneconomic holding because there's no economic activity. So it is just a land which is owned by a few people and it is not being used to generate any goods or make any money. Another problem that is there in agriculture is uncertain rainfall. We are not sure now. It has become very difficult to guess or estimate when it is going to rain. Is it going to rain in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Is it going to rain in summers? Is it going to rain in winters, or is it going to rain in the rainy season? In India now it has become very uncertain. We do not know when it is going to rain. We do not know. We are not sure. Though we actually know that okay, from say June till September we have chances of highest amount of rains. That is the season. But we do not know. It is also possible that there are no rains. There are periods of rains where periods of months where there are no rains. So even that is possible. So there is no certainty of rainfall, and this becomes a big restriction for the development of agriculture. Then discouraging economic setup or lack of incentives. So the economic setup is not as strong. We are not getting enough benefits. As farmers, we do not have enough incentives or enough promotional things are done for farmers or agricultural as an economy, as an industry. Nothing is done. So the whole economic setup is very discouraging. Farmers get the least amount of money, and the retailer gets the highest amount of money. The same apple that is being sold by a farmer is sold at a very cheap rate. When it is sold in a retail mall or an online website, it is sold at a very higher rate. Okay, so it is very discouraging. There's no incentive. The technology is very primitive nowadays. There's so much advancement in the technology. The whole world outside is growing. They're using latest technology, but when it comes to our country, we are still using old technology. We do not have any newer forms of technology. Inadequate storage, transport, and marketing facility. So we don't know where to store. So a lot of our produce, a lot of our products from the farm get destroyed because of lack of availability of storage. We don't know where to keep it. We do not have transport or marketing facility. So we have produced something very innovative, but we do not know, um, how to market this particular thing. Problem of subdivision and fragmentation. So we know that everything is subdivided by the government. Everything is divided into different sections. So it is very difficult to reach the demands of the people. So someone needs a particular type of grain and some other person needs another type of grain, and it is very difficult to fulfill the needs of the people. There are very limited credit facilities which are available at a higher cost. There are no loans available. Credit facilities means loan. There is no way that we can get loan very easily. If we are getting loan easily, then we have to pay higher rate of interests. So these are certain limitations or constraints in the development of agriculture. Okay. Now, what are the problems in agricultural marketing? What are the problems in agricultural marketing? So, um, marketing is a wide concept. It's a broader concept. We need to understand how marketing, what all are the functions that are included in marketing. So, what are the problems we are facing? One is small marketable surplus. So first of all, we don't have extra goods. So there's no surplus of goods that we can market. Okay, we do not have proper processing facility. So a lot of our fruits, vegetables, crops, grains, they get destroyed because we do not have proper processing facility. So if they are not processed, then we cannot market it further, right? There's no standardization and gradation. Um a lot of crop is locally produced, locally distributed. There's no quality checking, there's no proper standardization. Okay, this is what quality of rice and what different qualities are there, and there's no proper grading also done. So because of this proper standardization and proper grading, we sell any product at any price like this. uh, Transport is a big problem. The major problem is that it is not available cheaply. Okay, so we need cheap and quick transport facility. It is not available, so we are looking at more better transport options. Storage is also a problem. We do not have proper storage. So when I say do not, which means that majorly we have, but we create a lot of wastages. So we do not have storage, as in we do not have adequate storage facility. um, we have not established any links in the global markets. So we need to channelize that. Okay, suppose if there's some products which are required, some byproducts which are required by the foreign markets, we should be able to sell it to the foreign markets. We don't have any such facilities to connect our products to the foreign markets. Then along with that, there are some technical problems. Then okay, we missed out a season, we missed out on collecting, harvesting water, we missed out on harvesting season, we missed out many things. So we miss out information. So because of this, a lot of technical problems are also created. Okay, so now we'll discuss functions and shortcomings of agricultural price commission. So what are the functions and what are the shortcomings? Just a moment. Okay, so what are the functions and shortcomings of agricultural price commission? The functions are organization of food zones. Now, agricultural price commission is a group, is a system which is created by a country. So where we have different food zones. So depending upon the kind of food, we have divided into zones. Then there is fixation of MSP, that is minimum support price. We fix a minimum support price for a food grain or a crop there. Rationing and sale through fair price shops. We ration the goods and we sell the goods. And there are some other steps. What are the limitations? There is inadequate coverage. We are not able to cover a lot of area with this, with agricultural price commission. Because of this, we have to give subsidies to farmers, subsidies to agricultural producers, and there's a lot of burden on us, on the system, on subsidies. We end up transmitting wrong signals. We give wrong signals to the market. We think that okay, if we set a price, we are going to create a good trend, but that is not the case. Our public distribution is very ineffective because of these are the shortcomings in the agricultural price commission. And then we end up spending a lot of price. We neglect any kind of linkages, whether interstate or out of India, global linkages or whatever. So these are the shortcomings of agricultural price commission. Now, what is MSP? What is minimum support price? Minimum support price scheme is a scheme of government of India to safeguard the interest of farmers. Under this scheme, GOI declares the minimum support price of various agricultural produces and assures that the farmers' agricultural produce will be purchased at MSP, thereby preventing its distressed sales. So, Government of India, they have decided this price called as minimum support price, and with the help of this, they are able to give some support to these farmers. So they decide price of the crops, that okay, this is the minimum amount a farmer will receive for a 1 kg of the produce, and this MSP is decided by the government. This is to save the farmers, to safeguard the farmers. How do they come to this MSP? They look at the cost that is being spent on the production of the goods. What are the changes in the input prices? What are the input output price parity? What is the difference between input and output price? What are the trends in market prices, demand, supply, and intercrop price parity? So all these factors are seen before coming on to a conclusion of MSP. Now we'll talk about causes of increasing indebtedness in rural areas. Now, um, in rural areas, what is happening is a lot of people are in debt. Okay, and why is it happening? Why people are not able to pay off the loans, or when they are taking credit, how are they not able to pay the loan? So the major problem with the major pressure on them is there are very huge heavy interest rates that they are paying. So the interest rates are very high. They're not using the loans properly. They are taking loans and they're using for their personal problems, to solve their personal problems. They do not get finance also from a regular pattern, that okay, they are not getting money in a monthly or a systematic manner. Whatever they are producing, the prices are going up and down, so they are not able to recover enough money. The inputs that they are putting, the kind of pesticides or whatever inputs they are putting, they're not, the charges of the inputs are very high. The land is not as productive as they thought. There's not much produce that is coming out. Natural calamities, anytime you'll see storm, rain, unpredictable. Quality of the seeds are very poor. There are land disputes. People are fighting among each themselves, and family disputes. Usually these lands are owned by farmers, whole family, and they keep fighting. So because of this, there is a lot of debt that is created in the rural areas, in which they are not able to pay as of any loan. Now, how to prevent the increasing rural indebtedness? How to avoid this debt situation or a debt trap? So we need to effectively implement programs for eradication of poverty. Indian government has got certain programs with the help of which they can eradicate poverty. So these programs of eradicating poverty has to be implemented effectively. Then proper implementation of employment generation schemes. So we have to encourage or improve the employment generation in the country, and government must use those schemes, use it effectively, and implement the employment generation. Whatever is the cost that is spent on producing one product, we have to add a margin to it and then give pricing in the market. So cost based pricing should be adopted for agricultural products. We must have options of crop insurance. We should allow farmers to take more of crop insurance, because there is uncertainty in the rains, in the climate. They should insure their produce. Farm inputs at reasonable prices. We should, as government, must make it available. They must make the farm inputs available at a reasonable price. They must also look at better irrigation facilities, making the water available, reaching the latest technologies to the farmers, making the farmers receive all the latest technologies, developing ancillary business, what other businesses they can do from farming, reduction of load on agricultural land. We should also explore some other opportunities, like there is cattle farming, there's sheep farming, there's livestock farming, there are many things. We must look at controlling population. We must look at cooperative movements, like you must be aware of Amul, the Gujarat milk producing movement. So all these are the measures with the help of which we can reduce the rural indebtedness. So what we have seen in this chapter today is we spoke about agriculture and agricultural development. What is the role of agricultural in economy? What are the constraints in agricultural development? Problems in marketing in agriculture. Then what are the functions of agriculture price commission? What is MSP? We saw what are the causes of increasing indebtedness and what are the measures to prevent such increasing indebtedness. So with this we came to an end of chapter 2. We move to chapter 3 now, that is industrial development in India since 1991. So we'll talk about industrial development, factories and industries, how we have developed those things. So what is the role of small scale enterprises, medium scale, large scale? We'll study that. What is the role of industrialization? What was the India's industrial policy in 1991, and what was introduced as features in 1991 as new industrial policy? So we look at role of small scale enterprises. Smaller organizations, smaller businesses, what is the main role of these small scale enterprises? Small scale are very small companies who operate. So what is the role of such small scale enterprises? They generate employment. Okay, so there's a major role. There's not much money required. The smaller capital requirement, not much money required. Shorter gestation period time, which means they don't need a lot of time to take permissions, registrations, and anything. They can add into exports into smaller proportions. Everything is decentralized because they're very small. They can use the local people, they can employ local people, use local resources, and the dependence on economic insurance is reduced because now they are a small company, they'll not end up making big losses. So major roles of small scale enterprises are these. What are roles of medium scale enterprise? Now this medium scales, they have little more money compared to small scale, but very less money compared to large scale enterprises. So what is the role is high contribution to domestic production. Medium scale companies are those which are fighting with the brands of large scale companies. So they produce a lot of goods in house, internal production is there. They earn a lot of money from their exports. Medium scale companies, they send their goods abroad for sale. Their investment is low compared to large scale. They have freedom to operate. There's no strict as such any strict regulation. They get that flexibility. Based on the location, they can move from one place to another very easily. They can use the local technology, local equipments, and develop it. They can create import substitution, which means whatever goods we are importing, they can produce it and create a substitution for this import. Mostly here we will see technology driven, technology oriented industries, and they are very competitive with the national or even international brands. What is the role of large scale enterprises? They develop the economy overall. So they are big companies of our country, solid economic base, lot of money. They produce a lot of things, so increase in productivity. They produce at a big rate and at a very low cost. They help exports, so anything that is getting exported, they contribute in that. They help small and cottage industries. uh, with the help of large scale enterprises, there is increase in the standard of living, there's improvement in the standard of living, and they generate a lot of employment, they give a lot of jobs. The role of industrialization in economic development. If you look at our country or any country in the world, they would say that because they have developed the industry, there has been growth in the economy. So what is the role of industry? uh, uh, if you look at economy, agriculture, though it is very important, industry is equally important. They are the leaders nowadays. They create a lot of employment opportunities. They increase productivity. In the lesser time, we can produce more goods. Industrialization has developed agricultural sector. They have used a lot of foreign trade as in selling our goods outside and purchasing the goods from outside and everything. Because of industry, there is a rise in national income and per capita income. A lot of capital gets formed. We are able to produce more machines which can further produce more machines. Higher standard of living, social change. Defense services are improving because most of our weapons are being produced by our industries. We can divide the labor, divide the work, create specialization. So all are these the advantages of industrialization and economic development. Now, in 1991, we had our Minister of Finance, that is Dr. Manmohan Singh, our previous Prime Minister. He had introduced new industrial policy, and in the year 1991, and there are certain merits and demerits of this policy that we'll talk about, and we'll look at what was included in this when it was introduced. So what happened here in industrial policy is that they looked at increasing the production. There was a concept called as LPG. We'll study that little later very well. LPG is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Liberalization means allowing other companies from other countries to come in India and sell. So this was introduced. uh, we increase the efficiency in the public sector units, that is government companies. There was a lot of competition, less burden on the government. Our exports increased. There was regional development also. State wise development started happening. A lot of small scale industries grew, and there was benefit of workers. So all these were the merits of new industrial policy. These are the advantages that we could get. What are the demerits? Public sector role reduced. So there was a lot of government companies which were then given to private companies, private organizations. There was no guarantee of efficiency after privatization. Like if you look at any government product, you will have that trust and dependency. But when it comes to private organizations, then you can't have enough trust and dependency. So economic power was concentrated into hands of only a few. Only few industrialists became very big, like Tata, Birla, Ambani's. They became the big names of a country. So the whole economic power was concentrated into hands of a few. So at some locations, the regional balance was disturbed. Like states like Bihar, states like Orissa couldn't grow, couldn't develop much at during that time. Only states like Gujarat or Maharashtra or Haryana or Punjab or South states could take advantage because the industries had attention towards these locations. Uh, Again, if you look at small scale industries, they started getting affected because of the involvement of large companies, industries. The whole objective of society was ignored. They was just focusing on investing money, growing products, making products, selling products. So these are the demerits of new industrial policy. Now, what are the features of industrial policy 1991? Basically, what was happened is public sector companies were reduced. All government companies were reduced and they were given to private companies. Delicensing for certain industries, you had to get a license. So they removed this license rule. Then abolition of registration. They removed registration of certain types of companies. So there's no registration needed. A lot of foreign capital came into our country. From investors started coming and putting money in our country. Setting up foreign investment board, we had a separate board who was looking at foreign investments, from where the money is coming, how much money is coming, who is getting the money, and everything. Technical experts came into picture. We came to know, okay, what kind of expertise is required. They required help. Then public enterprises incurring losses. All the government companies which were facing losses had to shut, and they were to be given to the private sector. Laborers were given a lot of advantages because now industrial policy is there. Location industries also took a lot of advantage. Some specific locations were famous because of manufacturing. Uh, Even backward areas, we produced or created industries in backward areas. So because of this, there was encouragement of industries. Very few administrative controls from the government, so there was not much control from the government. Um, then concession from Monopolies Act. So now you can do things that you want. So you could get some concession also from the important acts like Monopolies Act. So these were the features of new industrial policy. So with this we come to an end of chapter 3 also. We'll just quickly see what all we learned in this chapter, that is industrial development in India since 1991. So we saw role of small scale enterprises, medium scale enterprises, large scale enterprises. We saw role of industrialization. Then okay, we saw merits and demerits of industrial India's industrial policy. Then features of new industrial policy 1991. Okay. Then role of small scale industries, we saw how small scale enterprises are helping us in growing employment, or there's less capital required. We looked at medium scale enterprises also, how there is contribution to domestic production and capacity to develop local technology, import substitution. These are certain advantages of having medium scale enterprises. We looked at large scale enterprises, helping economic development, solid economic base, increase in productivity, higher production at lesser cost. So all these are advantages of large scale enterprises. Then role of industrialization in economic development, we saw how industrialization is very important and how it has given advantage. We also studied the merits and demerits of the new India's industrial policy. As I told you that it was introduced in 1991. What were the merits, what advantages we had, and there were still a few demerits. There were some disadvantages on the small scale industries. There were social objectives which were ignored, and there was a reduction in role of public sector. So all these problems had happened because of the new industrial policy, and we finally saw the features of this new industrial policy, what all had done that, okay, there was less of public sector, there was less of there was delicensing, there was no registration, there was a lot of facilities to the laborers, location of industry. So all these were the features of the policy of the new industrial policy. So with this, I will end this session. I'll meet you in the next session. Thank you so much.